For years, I believed that to have a truly thriving worm population, one had to invest. I spent a fair bit of money on special compost worms, ordered through the post and delivered in little plastic tubs. They were destined for my compost bins and wormeries, where I hoped they would diligently turn my kitchen scraps into black gold. And they did, to a point. But it always felt a bit artificial. I was creating a special, contained environment for these creatures, rather than inviting nature to work its magic across the whole garden. It was a managed system, and sometimes it felt more like a chore than a partnership. The real shift in my thinking came from a simple, overlooked material: cardboard. It was a serendipitous discovery, really. I was using large sheets of plain brown cardboard to suppress a particularly stubborn patch of weeds, a common enough practice. I laid it down, soaked it thoroughly, and covered it with a bit of wood chip mulch to make it look a bit tidier. I largely forgot about it for a few months. When I eventually peeled back a corner to check on the weeds, I was met with a sight that stopped me in my tracks. The underside of the cardboard was teeming with life. Not just a few worms, but a wriggling, thriving community of them, all busy breaking down the decaying cardboard and the smothered grass beneath. It was a revelation. The worms I found were not the specialist tiger worms I had been buying, but the good old-fashioned earthworms, the lobworms and brandlings that are the true engineers of our garden soil. It suddenly dawned on me that I had been going about it all wrong. I didn't need to import worms, I just needed to create the right conditions to attract the ones already living in and around my garden. Cardboard, it turned out, was the perfect invitation. It provides the exact environment that worms adore: darkness, consistent moisture, and a slow-release source of carbon to eat. It was a 5-star hotel for earthworms, and I had stumbled upon it by accident. From that day forward, my approach changed entirely. I stopped buying worms and started farming my native population directly in the garden beds. This method is not about containing worms in a plastic bin. It's about encouraging them to colonize and improve the very soil where my plants grow. It is a more holistic, integrated system that works with the natural rhythms of the garden, rather than imposing a separate process upon it. It's simpler, cheaper, and I have found far more effective. The cardboard became my greatest ally in the slow, patient work of building truly living, healthy soil from the ground up, one worm at a time. Creating your own in-situ worm factory is wonderfully simple and requires materials that most of us have readily available. The first step is to prepare your cardboard. It is crucial to use plain, uncoated brown cardboard, the sort you get from delivery boxes. Be sure to remove all plastic tape, labels, and staples, as these will not break down and will only pollute your soil. I find it best to flatten the boxes and lay them out. You can use large, single sheets for clearing big areas, or tear the cardboard into smaller pieces if you are working around established plants. The key is to create a solid light-blocking layer. Next, you need to prepare the ground itself. You can lay the cardboard directly over existing weeds or grass, as the lack of light will eventually kill them off. Before you lay it down, it's a good idea to give the soil a thorough soaking with a hose or watering can, especially if the ground is dry and compacted. Once the ground is moist, place your layer of cardboard directly on top, overlapping the edges generously to ensure no light gets through to the weeds below. This initial moisture is vital, as it kickstarts the decomposition process and sends a signal to any worms in the vicinity that this is a good place to be. With the cardboard in place, the next step is to water it thoroughly. You want the cardboard to be completely sodden, like a wet sponge. This moisture is essential for attracting the worms and for helping the cardboard to start breaking down. A dry sheet of cardboard is a barrier, but a wet one is an invitation. Once it is soaked, you add your layer of green or nitrogen-rich organic matter. This can be anything from grass clippings and kitchen scraps, avoiding meat and dairy, to green plant trimmings or a bit of old compost. This layer provides the fast food element that complements the slow-release carbon of the cardboard. Finally, top the entire area with a brown or carbon-rich mulch. This could be wood chip, shredded leaves, or straw. This top layer serves multiple purposes. It helps to lock in the moisture, preventing the cardboard from drying out too quickly on sunny or windy days. It also makes the area look much more natural and tidy than bare cardboard. This simple sandwich of soil, cardboard, green matter, and mulch creates the perfect, dark, damp, and food-rich environment that worms simply cannot resist. You have effectively built them a restaurant and a home all in one. The speed at which the worms arrive is quite remarkable. In my temperate British climate, I often find the first explorers investigating the underside of the cardboard within a week or two, particularly if the weather is mild and damp. In warmer, wetter conditions, it can be even quicker. In colder, drier climates, you may need to be a little more patient, but rest assured, they will come. The key is maintaining that crucial moisture level. During a dry spell, you may need to give the area a good watering to keep the process active. You'll know it's working when you lift a corner and see the telltale signs of worm activity, castings, tunnels, and of course, the worms themselves. This method is a powerful tool for soil remediation. I have used it on patches of my garden where the soil was horribly compacted, almost like concrete. After laying down the cardboard and mulch layers, the change over 6 months to a year is transformative. The persistent work of the worms, burrowing and dragging organic matter down into the ground, aerates the soil naturally. Their castings enrich it with invaluable nutrients. What was once hard pan that you could barely get a fork into becomes a dark, crumbly, and friable loam, teeming with life. It works just as well on raised beds, vegetable patches, or around perennial shrubs and trees. Compared to a traditional worm bin or wormery, this direct-to-soil method is far less fuss. A worm bin requires careful management of moisture, acidity, and food-to-bedding ratios. It can become smelly or attract pests if not managed perfectly, and you then have the job of harvesting the castings and applying them to the garden. With the cardboard method, there is none of that. The worms manage their own environment. They can retreat deeper into the soil if conditions on the surface are not to their liking. And they spread their castings exactly where they are needed most. It is a self-regulating, low-maintenance system. One of the most welcome side effects of this technique is brilliant weed suppression. The thick, light-blocking layer of cardboard is impenetrable for most annual and many perennial weeds. It smothers them completely, and as they die back, they simply add more organic matter to the soil for the worms to process. It means less time spent on your hands and knees weeding and more time enjoying the garden. This dual benefit of soil building and weed control makes it an incredibly efficient and rewarding gardening method. You are solving two problems with one simple, organic solution. This is not a one-time fix, but the beginning of a sustainable cycle of soil improvement. The cardboard and organic matter you initially lay down will be completely consumed by the worms and other soil life within 6 months to a year, depending on your climate and the thickness of the layers. To keep the process going, you simply need to refresh it. I find that adding a new layer of cardboard and mulch once a year, usually in the autumn, is sufficient. This annual feeding of the soil ensures the worm population remains healthy and active, continually building soil structure and fertility year on year. The long-term benefits to the health of your plants are profound. The soil becomes a living ecosystem, rich in microbial life, and with a wonderful spongy structure that holds moisture beautifully. This means your plants are more resilient during periods of drought, as the soil acts like a reservoir. The constant supply of nutrient-rich worm castings provides a slow-release fertilizer, reducing or even eliminating the need for commercial feeds. I have seen a marked improvement in the vigor, flowering, and fruiting of plants grown in soil improved this way. They are simply healthier and more robust. Over time, this method builds what gardeners call good heart in your soil. It is a traditional term for land that is fertile, deep, and full of life. It is something that cannot be achieved quickly with a bag of chemicals. It is built slowly, season by season, by nurturing the life within the soil itself. By turning waste cardboard into a worm factory, you are not just recycling. You are actively regenerating your garden's most precious asset. It is a system that saves you money on fertilizers, compost, and weed killers while also reducing your workload. Ultimately, working with cardboard and worms has taught me a valuable lesson in gardening. The best approach is often to step back and let nature do the heavy lifting. By providing the simplest of ingredients, carbon, nitrogen, and water, we can attract an army of tiny, tireless gardeners who will work for free. They will transform your soil, suppress your weeds, and build a resilient, thriving garden. It is a partnership, a quiet and patient collaboration that yields the richest of rewards, soil that is truly deeply alive. And it all starts with a humble cardboard box.